If you're ready to experience more peace and joy in your life, if you want to feel more comfortable in your own skin, and if you're ready to discover and expand on your energetic gifts and personal power, you're in the right place. So here's your host, Kelle Sparta.
Welcome back to Spirit Guides. I'm your host, Kelle Sparta, transformational shaman and spiritual business coach. I'm here as always with my best friend in Boquete, Katherine Loranger, and she is also a spiritual business coach and a mindset master. So we are talking Mistress.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, okay. Yeah, okay, that has a different connotation.
It does.
Master mindset coach works. That works. Yeah. That's not what the show is about. That's a different topic.
No. That's a different topic. We could talk about it, but not here. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about opening to the flow of abundance in your business. And what we mean by that is making sure that you or something else in your business is not the pinch point. Okay. So I have been the queen of getting out of the way of my business for a very long time. So back in 2006, I was selling real estate products online. I was doing e-commerce for information products, and I paid to custom integrate my shopping cart with my fulfillment center. And so that what I realized was that every time I got a sale, I had to manually take and email the person at the fulfillment center and ask them to do it. And if I didn't get to that for 3 or 4 days, because I was also doing trainings and other things, and God forbid I took days off, right, or took a vacation, then it would just not happen. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I am the pinch point in my business. And I really worked it hard because I was about to move. Right. And I was like, I'm going to be out of pocket for 2 weeks. There's no way I can have 2 weeks of orders not go out. And so I paid to have a custom integration done to take me out of that process, because it was not a process I needed to be part of. Right. And so, you can pay for an automation, you can pay for an assistant, you can, there's lots of ways that you can do that. And so one of the things that we really encourage business owners to do is to look at where they or someone else is the pinch point in their business. Where do things get bogged down in your business? Now, ironically, not really, correspondingly, this is also something when Kathy and I do consultations for people who are looking to build transformational retreats. This is another thing that we look at, is where is the pinch point in the ritual that you're doing, because you don't want people backing up and having to stand in a line and being, pulled out of the experience because the process is slowed, right? So if you think of your business as a ritual, or you think of your ritual as a business, either way, you're looking to remove the pinch points so that energy can flow smoothly. Because when energy pools, then abundance slows. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead. I can see you've got something.
No, it just, when we kind of started talking about this topic right now in the world, when we're recording this up in British Columbia, Canada, there was a big landslide that blocked off the Chilcotin River. And so there was this massive landslide, and then all of the water was like pooling up. And people didn't know like how it was gonna, was it gonna like break through? Was it gonna go over the top? Like, what was it gonna do? And so as it finally did go over the top, and now there's like all flooding warnings and evacuation alerts and things like that. But you can think of that as the pinch point, or like a hose, right? A garden hose. When you kink it, that's the pinch point. That flow of abundance can't happen.
Right.
And so for me, also with the work that I do, we're looking at where is your mindset the pinch point. So your beliefs, what are you making an agreement with, your identity, and then also in the systems in your business. So are you feeling like you need to be the one that's doing everything?
Right.
Are you managing? Are you stuck in control? Are you, afraid for greater abundance to flow into your life?
Are you insisting on perfection rather than completion? Right. That's another big pinch point, right? I sat with somebody and spent 2 hours crafting an email and then sent it out and realized that something got missed. And they were like, I'm like, it's a freaking 20-second email. It should not be a big deal. And we could have sent it out and missed something and had to correct it anyway. And we would have spent 20 seconds on it rather than 2 hours on it. Right. And, it's like, it's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. And even if you think you've spent the time to make it perfect, you'll forget shit. That's human. Right.
Well,
so
and that's a crazy standard to hold yourself to.
It really is.
Like, it's just, and to other people too. Right.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. So, this is one of those things where you really have to like give yourself a break and be like, okay, there's that piece. And this is something I see a lot. It's an avoidance resistance, right? They're sitting there and they're saying, okay, I don't want to send it out because if I send it out, then I have to be seen, which we just talked about on the last episode, or I have to be, I have to accept more energy into my life, or, this is another way that the pinch point happens. And it's a very subtle way. People don't realize it. But if you burn yourself out, you will shut down your sales calls. I did this consistently in my business.
I've done this. Yeah.
You get really tired and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to get on another call with anybody. I'm so tired.
That goes out. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
And suddenly people are canceling calls right and left or not showing up. And you're like, what happened to all my sales calls? You happened to your sales calls. That's what
manifestation, vibration, your vibration.
Exactly. Yeah. I see that all the time. Right.
Yeah. One of the other things I see is that people are disorganized, right? They haven't actually, they're busy being busy. So they're kind of so busy, caught up in all of the things that they haven't taken the time to actually sit down and map out their systems and processes, because you can't identify what the pinch point is if you haven't actually done that work.
Right.
So,
go ahead. And the people who want to hire on help, they want to just hire on help and just sort of dump stuff on them with no systems in place, no idea. And then the assistant doesn't do a good job because they don't know what the hell they're supposed to do because you didn't tell them. Right. And then you're like, oh, it's easier to do it myself, and you yank it back and you do it all yourself again. And now you're the pinch point again. Right. There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much stuff there is. And, we should do an episode on delegation. We're going to add an episode on delegation.
Yeah, I think we should.
Because that's a huge thing, but that's failing to delegate is a way to end up as a pinch point in your business. Right. And so all of this stuff, right, it's all in there. Right. And so the pinch point piece is about where do you slow down the flow of abundance in your business or the flow of efficacy in your business, right?
Yes.
Because if you're not putting out consistent marketing, this is something I used to deal with realtors all the time on, was that they would market. They'd get a ton of business in the door. They'd stop marketing. They'd finish all their deals and they'd be like, oh crap, I have no business. What do I do? Market. And so their business would be like this up and down roller coaster of income because they stopped marketing. Instead, I was like, outsource your freaking marketing, because that way, when you get busy, you don't end up stopping the flow of business.
And that's consistent across industries.
Oh, totally.
Not just
that was just the first group I worked with that did that, but everybody does that, right? It's
everybody does it. Yeah.
Which is why it's so important to have your systems in place, and either it is automated or it is outsourced, right?
And it really takes discipline, right? It
really does.
So to be able to, because things that come in can feel urgent, right? And those things can take our attention, but they're not really all that important.
No.
So it takes a lot of discipline and awareness.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, it takes the willingness to be able to sit down and create the systems in the first place. And not everybody is good at that. I mean, I have an engineer brain, so I am particularly skilled at that because it's just sort of the way my brain works. But I can't tell you how many people I've worked with over the years who they're like, I don't even have the slightest idea how to conceptualize this. And that is true whether it is creating a program that they want to run, or whether it's setting out systems for, procedures for their assistant to do, or even figuring out what they could have an assistant do, or, anything, right? Anything. And and the other way in which the pinch point happens is through distraction. And you touched on that, but I want to touch on it in a different way. And that is, and I'm going to say this because it is so hard right now in the business world to not engage in this type of distraction, which is there is always some bright, shiny new thing coming across your desk that's, oh, for $97 or $27 or $7, or learn this new system and this new way of doing things. Learn how to. I was just like, you need to pick a path and stick to it and stop getting distracted by the bullshit.
Right?
Because
when you do that, all your energy is getting over here, over here, over here, over here. You're not getting any traction or momentum.
Absolutely. And when you don't have a clear plan, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Because you're like throwing stuff against the wall going, well, maybe I'll do this over here. And maybe I'll do that over there. And maybe I'll do this over here. And, by the time you get 3/4 of the way into the program, you realize, oh my God, I hate this. I will never do this. Right.
It's like you want to take a road trip, but you don't know where you're going.
Right.
What vehicle you're taking. Are you driving? Are you flying or whatever? And then you don't even know like how to drive. Right. So it's and then you go over here and over there and over there and over there, and you just end up nowhere.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happens. And so, the pinch point piece is so crucial. And so I think we've got two different things here, right? We have a pinch point and then we have a dissolution. Right. And it's a spreading of your energy so wide that it can't be effective.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the distraction, going here, going there, going the other place, not being consistent, all that.
But when we talk about the flow of abundance, right? So there's different ways that can be diluted. So it can be like blocked off or it can be diluted all over the place.
Yeah. So you can either be in the narrow confines of a raging river going in one direction with high banked walls that is like solidly going in one direction, or you can be in a delta and, everything is spread out and nothing is really moving and it's all just sort of sitting there. And if you've ever been in the Gulf of Mexico, it's warm water, it's tepid, it's all knee height, and there's really nothing enjoyable about it. Right. I think I'd rather be whitewater rafting than standing in the Gulf in a delta. Right. So, this is what we want to pay attention to in our business is, are we in a delta, which can be created by not targeting your market sufficiently. If you're trying to market to everybody, you're in a delta. You are not going anywhere because you're trying to talk to everybody, which means you're talking to nobody. And, that can happen there. And there's all sorts of ways in which and places in your business where this can be a problem. If you're trying to, in your pricing, if you're trying to take care of the people who can't afford you, then you're going to be in a delta in your pricing too, because you're not going to be targeting the people who will get the most out of what you offer by offering it at a price point for people who are serious about their work. Right. Yeah. And instead you're offering it to people who are either in victim mode or, around money or around time or around energy or whatever, and will not really be able to make use of what you've got. Or, you're in a place where you're constantly trying to pull people up, save people, right? It's like, it's not your job to save people. It's their job to save themselves, right? If you save them, then they're just going to step off the boat again, right? That's
exactly.
That's what they're doing. They don't know how to get themselves out of the water and they don't know how to stay out of the water. And it's, if you spend all your time trying to save people, then you're going to end up with you needing to be saved in your own business because you're running a charity, not a business, right? And that's where this comes into play in your pricing. And so, this runs throughout your whole business. If you're not careful, all of these things can create either pinch points or dissolution points and, or blockages, right? And so, and sometimes those blockages are internal, right? It's like you mentioned it earlier.
Lots of times,
I can't see myself making more money. I'm scared. One of my students actually just brought that to me yesterday. She was listening to one of our episodes. I can't remember which one she told me, but I can't remember. And she said, I've listened to it twice.
The money mindset
one. There we go. Thank you. And I did tell you that. I've lost my mind. And she said, I've listened to it twice. And it's I'm realizing I'm scared of making more money. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well, that's something to work on, right? And obviously we'll work on that. But the awareness of something, you need
Mm,
to become aware of something before you can change it, right?
exactly.
So bringing that awareness up, that's kind of what we're really trying to do with these episodes, is we're trying to bring your awareness up so that you know what are the pieces that you need to work on, right? And
So
so,
Kelly, that's
yeah.
literally what I was thinking.
Oh,
Like that's
of course.
literally, I'm literally like, okay, so what I want to say next is this is really about raising your awareness, right? So we're kind of sensitizing you so that you know where to go and what to work on. So noticing what resonates for you. And so I just love that we're in sync with that.
Gotta love it. Doo-doo. Yep, that's my thing. That's why they call me psychic. Yeah, we're definitely in alignment. We were doing this earlier too with the names for the episodes, because we had topics. So we have this spreadsheet where we keep a list of all the topics that we're going to do, but then we sit down before we record and we come up with good titles, right? And so we were doing that this morning with that, and so we were right on target for that as well. So we're mind melded clearly. So. Yeah.
Well, and
rock and roll.
it's also like a really good example of how energy and vibration happens, right?
Yeah.
So there's a frequency, and your thoughts literally can influence other people.
Yeah. And the thing that we're talking about is what I refer to as entrainment. And so when you bring your energy into alignment with someone else, you are entraining with them, which means that you're beginning to vibrate at the same frequency and share the same thought patterns. Kathy and I have known each other for so long that we present in a, we'll do a live presentation, and people will literally come up to us. And this has happened on many occasions. And they go, what we really love about this is that I can't tell when you stop talking and Kathy starts talking. It's like you guys are interchangeable on the stage, and you never fight for attention. And if one person talks for 3 hours, the other person's perfectly happy to sit and drink tea or water. And as long as there's something to be, as long as all the topic gets covered, everybody's happy. And when you shift, it's like the same person's still talking. And so that's because we are so entrained. And you and I doing this, we are getting to that state as well, right? Because we've been doing these episodes for long enough now that we're really starting, and because we're friends, but I think it's more because we're doing this, and we're getting to that state of entrainment as well. And that's a really beautiful thing in terms of being able to be consistent in messaging, because ultimately, we have our own knowledge and we have our own experiences, but we are channeling source when we're doing a lot of this work.
Absolutely.
And being tuned into the same channel provides consistency of messaging between people. So even if somebody's working with me one day and you another day, whatever, Kathy a third day, whatever, if we're all tuned into the same channel, there's no concerns about losing consistency in the messaging, right?
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful thing about entrainment.
I think can I just say something else about entrainment? So I think, and this is totally like an aside from the topic and really what we talk about on the podcast, but as a coach or facilitator or teacher, you also want to be really aware of that, because you are creating and holding the container for your students or clients. So if you're not strong in being able to do that, you could actually entrain at a lower vibration, and then that's going to impact the results of everybody in the group. So you want to be really conscious about how you create that container and hold the frequency so that it's actually pulling people to a higher vibration that's more in alignment with what they want to generate.
Yes, and I will add to that because I love that. And I'm going to add to that in saying that if you have not designed your program to have its own energetic gestalt, and as in movement of energy through a process. So if you've just put in random stuff and it's not building, and there's no movement, there's no progress, there's no arc for the work that you're doing, then that too will pull the energy of the container down, because there's nothing for people to hook into. When you do it well, people will tap in. When you do it well and you've done it for a group, or you've set the container and you've pre-energized it, you've charged it, right, with that gestalt energy, people will come in and immediately step into the flow of the energy before they've ever engaged the content, just by stepping in the door.
That happens.
Right?
Yeah. Love that. And you can do that online too, right? You doesn't.
Oh, totally.
Something special about being in person for sure. And that's why you do your retreats here in Panama. I think do you still have a couple spots open? Oh, actually, wait a minute. When this goes live.
By the time this goes live, I think we're actually in I think we're in the retreat at the time this goes live.
So just for people to put a little pin in their board or whatever that expression is, that Kelle does do retreats here in Panama. So
yes,
definitely want to check that out.
Yeah. So when you're doing that, when you're constructing your system, you definitely want to create that process and that movement so that people can do that, because and you'll see this in group environments. Anytime you're in a group session, right? There is always a group dynamic that is consistent, right? There are always several things that are consistent across everyone in the group. And those are what come to the forefront in the group gestalt. And so, I see this all the time in my group coaching programs where somebody will come in and say, oh my God, I don't know who I am. I'm going through foundational deconstruction. And somebody else is like, oh my God, me too. Wow, oh my God, me too. Even if the first person was in it. So like my most recent group, people started into a process that I don't normally deal with until the second program in my B2C programs. And they, people are in the first program and they're doing second program work. And they're all doing it. And I'm like, that's funky. That's funky. But okay, I'll just pull that information forward and we will cover it because that's what you need right now. And that's fine. So, but the group dynamic brings everybody into the process, which is very, very interesting. It's
powerful, right? It's like really is. You become like the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly.
It's the frequency, it's the vibration, it's the belief system. It's all of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're totally tangential here, but I think super interesting.
Well, I don't know that we are, but it's part of it. I mean,
it's like you said, it's source, right?
It's source, right? So the pinch point and
so that could actually be also the people that you're hanging around with.
It could. Oh, totally. Oh my God, yes. Or your assumptions about your clients and what they can afford and what they can't afford and what they can manage.
Agreement with.
Can they do work at this level or not? Are they capable or not? All of these belief structures, the people that you're spending time with, that you're entrained with, are you entrained with people who are positive and outgoing and abundant in their financial lives and their physical lives? Or are you hanging out with people who are poor, sad, broke, depressed? The world is out to get me, eat the rich, all the stuff, right? What social media are you consuming? Are you pulling that energy into your life through the social media that you're consuming? All of these things come into play. And so, a lot of this is about, managing your energetics,
And also like how quickly you jump to assumptions. So by the time this episode airs, this will be long past, but where the Olympics are happening right now in Paris, and there's this big controversy around a boxer who people were kind of mistakenly saying that she was trans, but she's not. She was born female, just with higher levels of testosterone. And so I saw, and I just kind of watched it happen, right? I'm like, well, that's really interesting. People were posting and sharing and just like in this reactive, assumptive kind of mode without actually taking the time to be curious.
Yeah.
To kind of be like, okay, well, what's actually going on here? Right. So noticing for yourself as well, how quickly you jump to assumptions.
Right. Yeah. Because those assumptions, like somebody unsubscribed from my email list, they don't love me. I remember when the first time somebody unsubscribed, I was shattered. I was broken.
Totally devastated, sad, right? Oh my God, it's personal. It's about me.
Right.
It's not about you.
Not about you. Their inbox is full and they're tired of email, whatever. Right. Yeah. All the things. So this is the stuff, right? All this stuff.
Yeah.
And some of it's physical to your business. It's your structures and your processes and your technology and or lack thereof,
Lack
right?
thereof, yep.
And, some of it's your inner stuff,
Yep.
and
Or your environment too.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like we talked about, how having a cluttered environment can reflect a cluttered inner world. So that's definitely a pinch point.
yep, that too. Having your bagua set up wrong for your feng shui. If you've got all your crap in one room in your house and it turns out it's your money area, that would be a good reason why money isn't flowing into your life. If you have a resistance to receiving and you are, not available to receive love, and you've conflated love and money, and then you're not going to receive money either, right? If you're not open to receive, period, you won't receive money either, right? If your manifestation bubble is getting spewed off to the side by all the belief structures in your inner world about worthiness and deserving and, good enough and all the things, that gets in the way of your income as well. So, there's all of these things come into play, and it's not a quick fix. You got to have to take a look and dig
work,
through.
right?
Yeah.
And it's all like everything that we talk about really foundationally comes down to identity. And right now you have an identity, and that identity has a certain level of results and experiences in their life. And so to have a different level of experience or result, that's a different version of you, right? Like that's a different evolutionary expression of who you could be. But that's a choice. Like it's your choice, right? You get to decide. And here's the thing: if you're listening to this podcast, then obviously you've decided that you want to step more into that. And as human beings, we're not actually meant to do this stuff alone, right? We're meant to be in community and to have support in doing this work and in growing.
Right. And I think that's a great place to wrap up this episode. So if you're looking to get some more help, come over to the spiritguideschool.com website, click on the discovery call and sign up for a discovery call. We're happy to sit down and talk to you and figure out what's going to be the best path for you. And if you're out there and you're enjoying these programs, please share them with a friend, like and subscribe and rate so that we get seen more. And I'm actually going to be doing drawings periodically going forward around people getting free readings and things like that. So if you want to get that, then you can continue to do this. And we're expanding it not just from iTunes, but also across all of the platforms. The platform must have a written review, not just a star review. So I'm sorry, but Spotify doesn't work. It does not allow you to write a review. But if you write a review on one of the platforms that allows a written review and then send us a copy, a screenshot of that to support@kellysparta.com. It has to come in through that venue, support@kellysparta.com. You send it in any other way, you will not be added into the drawing. Let me be clear, because we let one person do it and it took us 2 hours to figure out where she had gotten to us. So we're not doing that ever again. Okay. Must come into support@kellysparta.com for you to qualify for the drawing. And I will be drawing periodically as I need people for the show, for people to get a free read on the show. And that read could take a variety of different ways. So let's.
Can people also book a paid reading if they want a quicker reading? Like if
absolutely
sooner?
Yeah. Absolutely. If you go to kellysparta.com and click on the services button, there is a way to get a reading, the spiritual evolution energy review. You can get that either from me or from one of my students on that page. And that's paid reading, and you can do that in private if you want, or you can opt to have it on the podcast if you would like to. It's your choice. And that'll get you signed up for a reading anytime you want. Okay. And so with that, don't forget that what you focus on expands, and what you intend is what you create. So choose wisely. We will see you next week.
So that's it for today's episode of Spirit Guides Podcast. Head on over to iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. Every week, one lucky listener who subscribes and posts a review on iTunes will be entered into a drawing for a $10,000 value grand prize and a private reading with Kelly Sparta herself. Be sure to head on over to spiritguidespodcast.com and pick up a free copy of Kelly's gift and join us on the next episode.